Hi, I'm Tom Guerra, and welcome to today's 3 questions. The first question comes from Ed. Ed asks, how did you meet the guys from Mott the Hoople? I haven't met everybody from Mott the Hoople, but the first guy I met was Ian Hunter in about 1982 or 3. I had heard he was looking for a guitar player, and the 19-year-old me made a demo, gave it to him backstage, and heard nothing from him about it. So years later, somebody who I had given that tape to came to me and said, hey, check this out. And I listened to it, and it was actually a version of me playing the golden age of rock and roll. It's now on YouTube. I think it says Golden Age of Rock and Roll alternative version or alternate version. So check it out. It's got some guitar playing on it from the 19-year-old me, kind of in the spirit of Mick Ralphs, who didn't play on Golden Age. So I've since apologized to Luther for replacing his guitar part on that song. So obviously I met Luther, Morgan Fisher, met Morgan in 2009, right before the Mott the Hoople reunion shows in London. And as you probably know, he's played on all of my solo albums. And love the band, great band. Got a chance to meet Overend Watts, who we wrote a song about years ago, but it kind of chickened out. I was kind of in awe of him, and I didn't do it. And of course now he's passed, so I regret that hugely. He did thank me and the Mambo Sons in his book, The Man Who Hated Walking. So I feel like we did make that connection. So love the band. Check them out if you're not familiar with them. Next question is from Joe, and the reason I have a guitar here, Joe asked, love the song, all-purpose song that I saw in the Vintage Guitar video. How do I play the riff to it? Okay, so basically I play the riff. The riff is in the key of A. I'll try to put the headstock up so you can see the neck here, but this is basically just a warm-up exercise that I used to do in the key of A that I used and incorporated in the song, all-purpose song. So it's key of A. Song itself is in the key of G, but when the riff happens, it's A. I hope you can see that. The next question that I stacked up next to Joe's question here is from James. James asks, which guitar amp effects combo, only one, defines your signature tone? I love guitars. I love Gibsons, Fenders, both types, and in terms of the guitar that I probably played the most and the one I feel most comfortable with, it's Fender Stratocaster, and this particular one is probably my favorite because of the fact that I use it live. It's a very comfortable guitar to play. It's been refinned. It was originally Sunburst. I got it from my dear friend Jim Meradian about 15 or so years ago. Jim was a great Boston-based luthier, guitar builder, just wonderful, wonderful human being that we lost several years back. Jim also refretted it with tall vintage frets, which are Dunlop 6105s, if anybody really asks. Stock electronics, except for the 5-way that I put in, because it's really gives the Strats more functionality with 5-way. And then on the back, you'll see I block the tremolo off on many of my Stratocasters, so you'll see a maple block right in there at the end of the bridge block. So that's it. 63 Stratocaster from the Kennedy administration, probably my favorite Stratocaster. Typically run that through an Ibanez TS9 tube screamer, which is an old Ibanez pedal from the early 80s. And then in terms of an amp, the amps that I use most are Vox AC30s. I have a top boost from 1964, as well as a Marshall 50-watt small box head, which I own and used a lot in the early days of the Mambo Sons, and that is from 1969. So thanks for the questions, and keep them coming.